Hi, and Ronald Masinda joining us live from there. Now, Ronald, what's happening at the moment? Hi, Ronald, can you hear me?
Speak to me. Loud and clear.
All right, Ronald, what is happening at the moment? Last we spoke to you, we saw more and more EFF supporters arriving there at this gathering. What's happening now?
Well, Uveka, still more supporters of the EFF are still gathered here, still chanting. Earlier on, we saw an ambulance moving into this vicinity. We don't know why the ambulance is here at the moment, but we are seeing quite a lot of blood on the street. So we will still try and determine as to what may have caused this incident. But that ambulance moving right across, we are still seeing quite a heavy police presence, still cordoning off this area near the post office here in Brackenfell. We are still seeing quite of the EFF leadership still in conversation with the police, trying to facilitate this gathering, whether or not they will be allowed to get over the 100 members that they want during this process. I'm going to put my mic in, Uveka, and try to listen in what has been discussed here.
We address them, and after that we disperse, and then we're gone. It is as simple as that, and you are on the ground with us.
But now you see, this is not what we agreed on with Tejo now. You are changing.
No, I'm not changing.
Rules as it goes.
No, I'm not changing. I'm just putting to all of us the issues of separating groups. Because even if it's 20, that 20 is going to try to find a way of going through the police, and then irritation is going to start. But if we pile them in one group and we move in that way, then we're good to go. There's no one else that we're expecting. Everyone is here now. But once in small pieces, because the provocation is going to start when one wants to jump in that side, because you know the humans, that's why we must always lead them in a way that will bring them in one place and then we move like that. I'm sure, Brackenfell, you can, with your team, we are on the ground, there's another gentleman, this gentleman here. We can all put this team and start moving nicely and peacefully to the place. We are here, there's no other place, rather than to try to scatter everyone.
No, it's understandable, but as the Colonel said, he already made that.
And we agree with it. That's why I was saying now we're dealing with the implementation.
Sorry, no. I cannot now, in all good honesty now. I made an agreement with Tejo there,
yes.
Not going beyond that.
No. We're speaking on that agreement. I'm not changing the same, we change the agreement. Now we're talking of implementing that same agreement. We appreciate the concession that we made to 500. We're saying, now let's talk of the practicality of implementing so that we can get moving. Because everyone is here. The sooner we get there, the sooner we finish this thing now on day program. We're just talking implementation. We're not changing anything. We're no longer talking numbers. We're saying, let's implement this thing that you've got your team, balance everyone, and then we move like that. You can have your team on all sides. We get there, we address quickly, we finish our business, and then we are gone.
Get your 500.
Okay, so
get your 500.
So who are we working with on the ground so that we know who communicating?
Seagulls is here when you are ready.
Okay.
We're working with
what's going to happen now? Ne? You're going to get your 500 people together. There's Nyala, this one here, will be in front. We're going that side.
Yes.
Eh? This Nyala will be in front. The rest of the 500 people will follow.
We'll follow the Nyala, yes.
We'll follow Nyala. They know exactly where to go. Our guys will be deployed on both sides, front, right, left, and at the back.
And then let's all move as one team. That's it.
The 500 people.
Yeah, they're here.
Yeah, but there's now over 2,000 people. Please, guys, please. We need to.
We want to achieve peace and order. We want to help.
Got it was now straight was from the horse's mouth, 500. So let's keep it like that, please, guys.
Let's talk to the implementation.
Wat toegewings in Engels? Hey, dis Engels. Toegewings.
What is that?
Granted.
Yeah.
Granted.
We already increased the people from 100 to 500.
No. We know we agree.
Okay.
We know we agree. That's why I say we're not there. We're just saying us that are here. We need to talk of the way of how do we move so that we don't have. Because you know my issue.
No, I understand that.
And my issue is these people that we're going to try to jump. Then we're going to have a lot of work in our hands.
You just with your marshals now, you can go, you get your 500 people in place and you can indicate me when you're going to start to walk, please.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
No, but I don't want us that we must be impatient with each other on
No, I will
looking
never be impatient. I will not be
at looking all the things that we are raising.
No,
Because
I will not be patient.
if that happens, then that's when this whole thing is going to happen. As you can see, it's peaceful.
We
Let's
will
finish
not be
it in that way.
impatient with you. Okay? So you can get the rest of the people.
Get that. We're going to stick with the 500.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the
But-
instruction we have, guys.
But so where are we going to go today? So that when we address, we know what we are doing. Okay, so
Edward Flamini. Edward. No, what's the money I'm like with?
biar gue jual.
Get that motor, man.
Para kita dapat terakhir macam itu mas move.
All right, Juveka, breaking news here. We heard earlier on from the police that they've granted the EFF supporters to increase that number from 100 to 500 supporters. So 500 supporters are now allowed to, go to the school to hand in that memorandum. We heard earlier on that the EFF tried to get everyone who is here, the police saying that there's at least 2,000 EFF members or supporters who are gathered here, so they cannot allow that to happen.
Yeah.
We also heard earlier on just now that the EFF, some of the EFF supporters tried to, push the police in entering that perimeter that has been cordoned off by the police leading into the school, and the police is having none of it. They're saying that, we are bending the rules for you, and we're only allowing 500 of your supporters to go to the school to hand in that memorandum.
All right, Ronald, just a bit more clarity there then on the arrangement to accommodate now 400 more, including the original 100 that were supposed to be part of this protest. What were police saying about who must remain behind the police in Yala, who will be to the side? And just clarify for us what you heard.
So what I heard earlier on, Juveka, is that the police, they will allow only 500 people now at this stage, but out of that 500, it's up to the EFF to decide who of those 500 will be. But then as the police, their job is to make sure that there's a head count before EFF members or supporters are allowed within that vicinity. So according to the police, they are only here to do what they were told to do, and they've certainly bent the rules, given that that number has jumped now to 400 more members of the EFF to go to the school to hand in that memorandum. That, of course, is expected to take place at 2 o'clock, but fears are that when that time expires, that could lead to many other issues where the police might force the EFF members to disperse. Juveka, I do have a member who wants to maybe say a few words. Sir, thank you so much for your time. First of all, we saw the ugly scenes earlier on, given that the police had to fire water cannons and also tear gas. Take us through what happened. What seemed to be the issue there?
The issue is the police. The police are provoking the members of the EFF, and then the practicality of the 500 number, it is going to cause chaos. And then, unfortunately, I smell a rat, because what they want to do is not going to help. The 500 is going to cause chaos, and then the practicality is not going to be implementation. You understand? So I don't think it's the right thing. They're going to cause war. No one wants to die. We really don't want us to die.
All right, that gentleman pulled away there, Juveka, by the leader of the EFF, saying that he's not supposed to speak to the media, but also clarifying that could also cause more chaos, given that quite a large group is now expected within that vicinity. We are seeing the police in Yalas also trying to move a bit closer, but the EFF supporters are still waiting in line, given that they've now been given the go-ahead to increase their numbers when they go to the school to hand in that memorandum.
Ronald, just take us back there, and you are standing right in front of that little patch of a blood spill or whatever it is you described to us earlier. Just give us some idea of when that happened. Was that earlier when police were firing rubber bullets or tear gas and water cannons at the protesters? Where did that come from? It's a bit worrying.
Well, at this stage, we haven't got clarity as of yet whether or not it is blood, Juveka, but we are seeing an ambulance nearby. But we will go to that area to find out more. But we do know there were quite ugly scenes earlier on where a number of people whom we saw were running away from the police they were badly bruised. So we are now led to believe, Yuveka, that the leadership of the EFF is going to address this large crowd. So let's listen in to hear what they have to say.
Maximum discipline. Let down further on the road. Fighters, they have to know all this time. So you can be on the water. Nobody will be on the water. So you can be on the water. So that's what we are doing to. Okay, I have a fun way. So the player to have we have a situation of a platform. So leaders, the following of the United States and a fight on the ground. There's a full routine. Attack your bounty. About the fund leadership. So that we need to keep on a place. I think we know a routine. The way to have a young to the country or a platform. I think I feel like now. When the highway to, when come away to, when start and start the boat. So, Sanitata Zalamati, Lava Gigi, Salibu, that's a villain down. Well, up the other schools in the Satire. So, that friends, una hora to go to Gucci, to go to the Nika to Take and Haki, to go to the City of a platform. That's a platform, present high school. So, for the right order fight that, maximum discipline, we're moving back to
EFF leadership calling on people to be calm as they try to regroup together. That number of 500 people as they try to enter Brackenfell High School to hand in that memorandum, as we heard earlier there. So Viveka will be keeping a close eye on things. We are seeing police in Yalas also moving across, trying to also find a way where they can continue, to cordon off that area where that leads to the school. Metro Police are also on the scene. So people are going to start moving in a very short while, Yuveka. We are seeing people holding hands. They've regrouped, but we're not sure at this stage whether that 500 number of 500 members will be met. But we will be keeping a close eye on it, Yuveka, as the story continues.
All right, so we're not sure, Ronald, then, at this stage, whether anybody from the school or any staff members will actually be there to receive their memorandum, which I suppose and I predict is going to lead to even bigger problems if nobody's actually there to receive this memorandum. Have you seen any signs of any staff? I know that you're still a bit of a distance away from the actual school, but earlier today, perhaps, did you see any cars in the parking lot? Were there signs of any staff, anyone who might be there this morning or today?
No signs whatsoever, Yuveka, in terms of certainly parents or teachers as well as pupils. The grade 8 to 11s, their exams had to be rescheduled. The grade 12s, however, had to write at a different venue, given that there were fears that today's protest might disrupt their physical sciences exams. So the school has been totally empty, but outside the school there seems to be a large crowd gathered there, made mainly of parents and those who are saying that they will continue to support parents, that they feel that their children are not protected, given that this is not the first time where crowds have gathered in protest of issues of race at the school. We've seen, of course, throughout the course of last week and this week, the PAC a few days ago, in fact on Wednesday, and the EFF. All of this started exactly 2 weeks ago on a rainy day on a Friday, Yuveka, where a small group of EFF supporters heard or learnt from social media that a private function was staged that didn't allow learners of color to be there. But the school maintains that they didn't stage any matric balls this year, given the devastating impact of COVID, and that was a private function. So according to them, any adult or any parent of learners, they are allowed to stage private functions, and they are allowed to invite whoever they want to invite. But the different narrative, certainly from some of the activists we spoke to in last week, they said that they've done their own investigations around this private function. This private function was staged in Stellenbosch, and at this private function there were around 40-odd learners. in comparison to the 240-something matriculants that are at the school. And out of that 40-odd learners, there were 2 school teachers who were invited at this party. And those school teachers, the EFF has called for those school teachers to be fired, as well as the principal, because they feel they are also part of the issues faced at the school.
And so many other versions of what actually happened at that gathering, Ronald, and I'm sure you have a better idea than I do at this point, but just hearing the different murmurings this week is that some are saying that everybody was invited, and some of the pupils of colour saying that they had other things to do apparently, and they couldn't make it, and then also about that 500 Rand entrance fee or whatever it was. So just tell us what you've heard. Let's just try and cover the various different stories. We don't know which have been verified, we don't know which are true, but just what we've been hearing around the story.
Well, Yuveka, according to a movement calling themselves Stop Farm Murders Movement, they say they've done their own investigations, and that the first question they posed to the parents or also the teachers that attended that function were learners of color invited to this function, and the resounding answer they got was that they were, but they couldn't afford the 500 Rand that was needed for them to be part of that function. That function was held in Stellenbosch and not at the school, but they are saying that, you know, according to their investigations, even fundraising efforts were made for those learners who couldn't afford to attend that function, and that it was really up to the learners and parents who decided not to allow their children to go to the school. But the Western Cape Education Department has also said that they know from the school that the school did say earlier this year that due to COVID-19 that there will be no matric balls this year at the school. So according to the school, they are saying that, you know, parents are allowed to stage private functions. You know, that's against school jurisdiction, but according to them, they want no part of it. But the recent events that now have unfolded seems to, you know, angle towards the school. People saying that, you know, racism has been around for many years at the school, and that the school has failed to address these issues, and that now it's high time that the school addresses these issues. As I mentioned earlier, even on the 8th of July, former learners of the school have also issued their own memorandum on the 8th of July asking the principal to address these issues. We also heard, Yuveka, that various people coming forward saying that, you know, we've been saying this for some time now, that the school must deal with the issues, and that the learners shouldn't be affected by issues of race. They should focus on their studies. So it seems like issues at Brackenfell High School have been ongoing for some time now, and that now it seems, according to the EFF, it's high time that these issues get addressed.
Well, Ronald, just also remind us of the various investigations around this. Now, how many different investigations are underway, and has there been any kind of deadline? Because as we can see, this is an urgent matter. What we're seeing, the result of what happened at that school, surely this makes it much more urgent than it was even 2 weeks ago. So who is investigating? When are we expecting some answers?
So we do know, for starters, that the school governing body is conducting its own investigation. They've since formed a diversity committee to ensure that issues such as race are discussed. They also have some form of rehabilitation classes where kids who have been pointed out implicated in issues of race, they now have to go through those processes. So the school governing body is assisting the school itself with regards to this investigation, and the school governing body said earlier on when we spoke to them that they knew that there were issues at the school, that there was an Instagram account where children continued to voice their own issues. Having spoken to Andre Gam as well of the SA Human Rights Commission, the Human Rights Commission is also not only investigating issues at the school, but also many of the issues that have unfolded where clashes between parents, police, and members of the economic freedom fighters played out here for a couple of weeks now. So the SA Human Rights Commission is also investigating or undergoing its own investigations. The police have also been vocal. The police have said that, in fact, even today there are quite a number of police units who do media work for the police. They are here to capture a lot of the videos that take place here, issues where there's scuffles, and whether possible arrests could be made post this protest. So there seems to be quite a number of units established here to investigate the various cases, not only at the school, but certainly the issues that have taken place here. And there's, of course, been widespread condemnation, not only from the DA, as I mentioned earlier, but also the president, calling for responsibility. Cyril Ramaphosa saying that in the wake of the last protest where a number of EFF members were injured, at least 6 of them, where one lady has since gone to the police to open a case of assault. Cyril Ramaphosa had a lot to say, as well as various other activist groups. We do know that here in the Cape there's quite a large following in terms of people who are supporting the parents. I just got a call from a Cape Coloured movement saying that Coloured Lives Matter, and they are also going to be here. So they said they're going to defend the children because they feel that the children's rights have been violated. And the PAC, of course, says they are against racism. They are with the EFF. Also, we spoke to members of the ANC who were here several days ago. They are also saying that they are standing in solidarity with the EFF against issues of racism.
And what